The composition of Taiwan's population and the distribution, because the geographers always like to look at where the people are located and what do you think are the factors that explain the location. The decline of fertility level, which we take pride in, I guess up to the last 10 years or so. So the new issue is that we should raise the fertility level. But I do remember the days when fertility level has been, it stays not that high, but then the government, the policies are targeted towards suppressing the fertility level. So that will be the first part of the class. Okay. Can you, actually I can step over here. Thank you. Yinjun is our TA, one of our TAs. Actually, we have several helpers in the class. Fendi, whom you should write to if you have any assignment problem, Fendi Chen. The second person is Kirsten. Kirsten, she has classes this morning, so she cannot attend. And she comes to help me about the on the class logistical matters and other times. Yinjun is a full-time staff of the geography department, and Eric at the back is a volunteer in helping the class in photography, right? Eric is a geographer. He got his degree in the UK and also the States. And I talk about the TA is, the thing is, we were given 2 TAs for the class, and they will be evaluated. No, teachers are evaluated, and TAs are evaluated. And the last 2 years, I told the administration that if you evaluate TA by foreign student, you got to have English forms, right? Otherwise, at the end, if I handed a 25 question asking you how good the TA is, how do you take if you don't understand Chinese? Now, I don't know if they are doing well this year, but I did 抗议, protest, and say we have such good TAs, and we have no chance to be evaluated and no chance to be nominated for an award for the TA. So I hope that you will give Fendi support. But let's see how she does. She always sits outside the classroom, and whatever questions you want to direct, please ask her about assignment and whether she have received your email, how is the Sabre working, what's wrong with the Sabre and all that. Okay? That's really not advertising. Our TAs are really good, and they work very hard behind the scene. Okay. Oops, it goes a little bit fast. Okay. Island of Taiwan is situated across the Taiwan Strait from China. I will show you some maps. And I put down here together with a photograph because I don't know if you have discovered that there are Japanese-style housing in Taipei. Have you seen that before? Try look up these in the neighborhood. There's quite a lot near the university. I discovered this cozy little house in Jinan Lu. And doesn't it remind you of somewhere in Japan, perhaps? Well, this was because Taiwan was under Japanese rule for 50 years. Just try to memorize the dates. It's not hard. 1895 to 1945. Okay. And the government that established, that came to Taiwan was in 1949. The Chinese nationalist government led by President Chiang Kai-shek at that time. He fled to Taiwan and ahead of the events of communists under Mao Zedong in 1949. So that was actually quite recent. And nowadays you're reading about 60 years of nationalist government in Taiwan. That will be since Chiang Kai-shek left China because of losing the civil war to Mao Zedong. And up to the present, and close to 60 years after the Chinese Revolution and the communist seizure of power in Beijing, relations between the mainland and the island of Taiwan remain tense. So that is the situation now. Well, I happen to be here, well, much later than this, because I think my parents fled from communists and arrived in Hong Kong in 1949. Oh, right. We didn't come to Taiwan. We went to Hong Kong, and that's how I grew up in the British colony of Hong Kong. And I have little feeling of the fear of communists myself, but I have some influence from my parents because of leaving our homeland for a new, entirely new place. It's almost like a different country. Yes, it is a very different place. So for Taiwan, the short history, the most recent history, I may say, would be dating back to 1949. But of course, we have a longer history than that. The Taiwanese history dates much further back to over 300 years. If you look at this map, Taiwan really looks small, right? In relation to China. And Macau is here, Hong Kong is here, Guangzhou, and this part we call the Pearl River Delta. Pearl River Delta. If you heard of, I'm sure you heard of Shanghai, it's over here. And Beijing, way up here, about 40 degrees latitude, is like Boston, right, in a relative sense in terms of latitude. And Taiwan, 23.5 degrees, someone said it is about the latitude of Costa Rica, right? Yeah, I heard that again and again. So I'm very curious about other countries which are in the same latitude. I think in terms of climate, they may be quite similar. That's why the last exercise was on comparing Taiwan's climate with your country. You look at the longitude, you look at the latitude, you look at other topographic factors and that will constitute the differences. So when we have gathered all the homework from you, we will pass it on to Professor Wei to be corrected. It will be something like 47. We hope that everybody has turned in the homework, because we can't give Professor Wei one at a time. Please cooperate. You know, we would like to have 47 students in the class to hand in the essay to him all at one time. And if you look at this map, this is a relation of Taiwan to China and the rest of the world. And I discover some countries that I'm not familiar with and find them on the map. And in the last map, when this morning I was thinking of what do we call Taiwan in the Orient? We call Hong Kong the Pearl of the Orient. But what about Hong Kong? What about Taiwan? One of the little dragons of the world, or of Treasure Island. Treasure Island, yes. If we think of a stone like a ruby, we can't call ourselves a diamond, right? Pearl is a very good word, but it has been used by Hong Kong and for a long, long time. So think of olivine, ruby, Treasure Island. Yeah, Treasure Island. That's good. Yeah, 宝岛台湾. Okay, that's good to start the morning with. So look at the 宝岛台湾and what are the people here like? Personally speaking, I am not fully agreeing with social groups, the term, but it has been used conventionally by social scientists here. You know, when you listen to a lecture, when you listen to, say, so-called facts and data, keep in mind that you can have a very critical mind. You know, you can have a very critical attitude. For example, when I look at these four social groups, I don't find I belong to any one of these. And I feel sometimes sad, you know. I am a Taiwanese, I'm a Chinese Taiwanese, I'm a Taiwanese Chinese, and who am I in relation to these groups? And I think there are more and more people who are like me, who has immigrated to Taiwan and have lived over the years, for over 30 years, and call themselves Taiwanese. But I don't think they're here. Okay, just to tell you the so-called scientific grouping. The earlier migrants came to Taiwan as early as 1720. And the percentages, yesterday I add the word about. Everything is about. Then I will be on the safe side. That is, if you look at the different papers, the percentages may vary from paper to paper. So you can challenge these so-called facts and figures. So for Minnan, I hope some of you who are local students speak Minnan, since you were born here. I have the excuse of not speaking Minnan yet because I wasn't born here. About 60% of the population, so that's the majority. The Hakka, 15% of the population, so that is a distinct social group. Mainlanders, they are late migrants from 1946 to 1950. They are from different provinces of China. So I think if I were called a mainlander, well, I'm not that happy. I said, which province do you mean?
No, not now.
Not now?
Not now.
Oh?
The mainlander used to feel sad and they to be called mainlander.
Oh.
They are getting out.
Oh, really? Oh, tell me how. That's a good thought. Yes. Well, I can see recently some literature written by mainlander. One professor wrote a book over 4 years called 聚流河, talking about how her parents had to flee the communists to come to Taiwan, right? And over the years, how they struggle, and then it was a very sad book. Actually, Zheng Guoliang, yeah, your name is Mr. Zheng, right? But if you are interested in that book, read it. Actually, I can buy it and loan it to you first. You know, I did not buy the book because once I buy it, I will not be doing my work. I will be reading through the book. So I keep it to myself for a while. So if you want to read about recent history and how individuals feel in their life history, you can read novels. And this one is a very good anthology. So talking about people being sad or not, this is one book that really has some sadness in it. Okay, young people would not be sad because none of us have been through the war, right? And so these are the so-called 3 different social groups that are under the Han Chinese. And then the non-Han Chinese would be the indigenous population. Nowadays, we don't call them mountain people or Gaosanzhu or Aborigine. We call them indigenous. And I think this is a very respectful term, 原住民, about 4%. Well, teacher, why do you say about all the time? Because the government don't have statistics, accurate statistics, and take really censuses in great depth. I have 原住民 friends. I have a lot of indigenous friends, and a few of them say, my parents, my father is from mainland. My father is a Hakka, for example. My mom is indigenous, Lukai or Paiwan, and she's a chief. And they had difficulty getting married, and at one time. And recently I decided that I'm not going to be a Hakka. I want to be indigenous. So one can choose. And so this number vary. At one time, many people switch to the indigenous population by claiming that they are 原住民. I said, well, I respect your choice. Let's go and celebrate. But I really want to ask her why she chose to be one group rather than the other. There must be reasons. So maybe that's a research topic. If you grab some indigenous people on this campus, and talk to them, quite often they are forgotten in the population. And I remember even 25 years ago, a student was asking me, who are Hakkas? Are they indigenous population? I said, no. Hakka are the purest Han people. They seldom intermarry with other tribes. They have immigrated over the years from northern China and have done this again and again for about four times in history. So, well, just to make things simple, please remember that for convenience, we have 4 major social groups. That is the Minnan, the Hakka, the mainlanders, and the indigenous. That is the basic understanding of the population composition. And I find that we must not forget that we have a lot of so-called foreign spouse, 外籍新娘, and you know the number, over 400,000, which is the largest number than the indigenous. So if you're interested in foreign spouse issues, you can find them in areas of concentration. If you look at some eateries with Southeast Asian flavor, you may come across people who are married and come to Taiwan. They come to Taiwan because they marry Taiwanese men. So the most recent immigrant group, I would say that they are getting larger and larger. They are from mainland China and Southeast Asia. Well, I'm sure you want to ask me, why do they marry Taiwanese men? That's a long story. Yeah, that's a population issue. And in 2007, actually I should change this figure to 2009, that is the most recent figure. And among these people, the women form a vast majority. And the children are also getting larger and larger in numbers. They constitute of 12% of new births in Taiwan each year, which causes some concern for policymakers. The word concern is a little bit negative, has negative connotation. But are there good reasons to be concerned? Well, yes or no. For myself, who support multiculturalism, I think it is a good thing that people, belong into a different background. But for some policymakers, they notice some problem in education, or just saying that, we're getting more and more people who are from these marriages, and then the Han people, become maybe less and less in proportion and all that, or politically some concerns. But I don't think the politicians have expressed too much concern yet, because these people do not have Taiwan citizenship. Some of the people from mainland China has to wait for a long time to get Taiwan citizenship, because once they get citizenship, they can vote. They can decide who they want to be the president, or at the city level, or at the local level. I don't think it is a big political problem yet. Maybe it has not surfaced. Okay. However, you notice this kind of remark by someone, a government official, who showed concern. He would say, 新台湾之子. This is actually from the Chinese newspaper, and then I translated into this, has exceeded 80,000, an increase at 20% per year. It is estimated in 2009 this number will exceed 150,000, right? And it is estimated that in 2011, 1 out of 4 students will be a 新台湾之子. Actually, if you're a teacher in a primary school, you will come across population issues much more than me in the university. The university is a relatively stable place. For example, a student, a teacher in the class will find that divorce rate of the student have risen. Some students immigrated, in each class there were some students who go abroad and say, my parents are immigrated to Canada, I was only told last month, you know. Or we have immigrant whose children maybe occasionally not being able to catch up in class. So discovering population issues is easier in the primary and high schools than in the university. The university is a small society, not really reflecting the whole of Taiwan. Okay, so we can think of these questions for your observation so far. I think so. Most of you have been here for less than 2 months. Do you know how many tribes there are among the indigenous population, and who are they? Can you name a few? So even though we say indigenous population, they're all different. Yeah. 13. Wow, you're so up to date. Yes. Yeah.
About 12. The last one was updated lately.
Yes. I was going to say 12, but luckily I didn't say it. Your knowledge is, yeah, 13.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I just saw Amezu.
阿美族、卢凯、排湾。达悟兰屿、塞夏、卑南、泰雅、布农、周、邵、Wow! We should clap. I thought that you are studying only medicine only. You are the 12th year of the university and you know all the 13 tribes. That's very good. You know, local knowledge is actually very important. And I discovered that some of you, the local students from Taiwan, they say, I want to know Taiwan better. You know, that's a very good attitude. And I want to know Taiwan in English and explain to visitors. Good. So we all got the tribes right. You're helping me a lot. Which tribe would be living closest to Taipei? Taiyazhu. Yes. Actually, if you take a train, right? Take a train to Xindian, and then you take a bus again to Wulai. Although I would say it's a very senior-sized place. That is, people all speak Chinese there and speak Hokkien Minnan. And I hope that they still speak their own dialect, Taiyazhu. Maybe not. Okay. I used to be having a great interest in the Dawuzhu, that is the Orchid Island. I flew there quite a lot of times and do some field work. And then I discovered that the plane is so small that every time I fly, I would be looking at the ocean. And then I was thinking of doing a thesis on the people in Orchid Island, the out-migration. But I did not follow up that idea. So now I already suggested several issues you can choose from on the human geography side. Okay, can you recognize the 3 Chinese dialects in the Taipei metro or during the local flights? Mandarin, and then Minnan. Minnan, or do we say Hoklo? Holo where? We can say Minnanhua or Hoklo. So if you go on the train MTR, you'll hear four languages, right? 3 dialects. Mandarin followed by Minnan, and then Hakka, and English. Actually, American English. Very American English. Well, accents are not that important. But, you know, I do have a few times several British visitors who doesn't think much of the English on the train. And I said, it's okay, it's okay. No, it's not. Well, that's rather personal. Do you know the names of all the 23 counties and cities in Taiwan? we still have 23? Not 24, right? Okay. Oh, 23. So, if you know all these locations, more or less, when you look at the broadcast of the disaster management issues recently, which is the county that is broadcasted a lot? Here, right? Yilan, because of the rain. How many meters of millimeters of rain per day, and 1,500 in certain period of time. In how long? In 3 days. That's a lot. And in Taipei, I think if you have a record of how many millimeters a day, then you would not have class. There's a threshold. That is, in Yilan, I think they don't go to class for 1 or 2 days, right? Even though it is so near to Taipei. So when we later talk about, you already have physical geology. When we talk about physical geography, you will see that the vast differences in terrain between one place to the other. So if we start from the north, well, Keelung is a city, it's not one of the 24. Is it? Keelung is one of the 24? 县市? No. Keelung 也是吗? Okay, so the closest city to Taipei is Keelung, which used to be something like 350,000 people, 35万人, and it's a rather rainy city, and much more rain than Taipei. Why? The northeast monsoon. So you will pick it up in the climate. Oh, you already have climate, right? The northeast monsoon that brings a lot of rain to Keelung, and it's very cold in the winter. And the Hsinchu is the closest to. Oh, we are missing Taoyuan. Sorry. Who did this map? No, not me. Okay, so there was Taoyuan first, and then Hsinchu. So be careful of what the media you use. I must have downloaded this map from somewhere. So, Yanjun, could you help me after class to change to a new map? Yeah, we have a lot of good maps. Taiwan has a lot of good maps on the Google. And Taichung?
Miaoli.
Miaoli is also missing. Oh my goodness. 对, it's only showing the big cities. Oh, it's my fault. This is the map on the big cities, okay? Then the Taichung, and then Nantou, Jiayi, Tainan, Kaohsiung, Pingtung, Taidong. Taidong is really, whenever there's a typhoon, they will be confronted. It's very the confrontation with typhoon is much more severe than other counties and cities, and Hualien and Yilan over the place. Well, in a word, Taiwan is much bigger than you think. Really much bigger than you think. And if you're here in Taipei for a while, if you're here for about 3 or more months, try to step out of Taipei. There's a lot of places to visit, and there are cultural differences among these counties and cities. These show the big divisions, which for the wrong reason is a little bit misleading. I meant to show you a map of 23 counties and cities. Okay. If we look at the distribution of population in Taiwan, actually Taiwan has very good data for doing research on population. We have a good census. I was going to say we had a good census, because I just heard the census will not be taken in the 2000. Theoretically, every 10 years, right? So we should be taking the census in 2010. There were debates about whether a census will be taken or not. To be serious, the demographers will be very disappointed, because if you don't have your census, how do you compare with other countries in the world, right? How do you enable demographers to analyze the trend of population over the years? And there are no substitutes of a census. Because I also study demography, and I'm also a population geographer. We had some debates with the 主计处, DBGAS, in short, DBGAS, who said, oh, that's the job of the Ministry of Interior, 内政部. But the 内政部 say, no, DGBAS should be continuing to do it. So it is the Bureau of Statistical Affairs, in short, DBGAS. B stands for Bureau, G, government. Anyway, in short, it's DBGAS, who is in charge of the census, and have released over the years, every 10 years, Taiwan is, I think, economically able to do the census. Some countries have been helped by foreign countries to do the census. For example, mainland China, even up to 2000, has been having foreign help in doing the census because of the large population. And prior to that, probably no census of this scale at all. Now, Taiwan used to have a census since 1905, since the Japanese period. The Japanese established a good system of taking the census. So our old data are very good and very well kept locally and in other universities. I say other universities because I do remember at times we heard of, say, library or collections that has good census data in the Japanese period. You heard of which is the largest university in Utah? At the Mormon state, Utah. Yeah, the Brigham Young University has good census of the Japanese period on Taiwan, and University of Michigan also have very good data. So it used to be every 10 years up to the most recent time. The household registration for local students who have a ID card, the parents' name are there, right? Your birth date, and then if you have any vital event in your family, then you go to the registration and change. Yeah, what are vital events? A birth in the family, right? A death in the family, marriage, and migration. So these are the 4 vital events that are recorded by household registration. And every one of us who live here would have how do you say that? 户政事务所, that paper, 户口誊本. Oh, don't translate. It's very hard. 户口誊本, that is a document showing members of a family, the age of birth, even where they are born, where we call it domicile, where you were born. Otherwise, you can't. I think in the ID card it shows where you were born still, right? But sometimes people would would put down the place of birth, their parents' place of birth, not themselves. I don't know what is done these days, but our ID would show these basic information, and then going back to the registration office, you can get the household registration, which is one of the best in Asia. In Asia, there are only 2 countries that has good household registration system. One is Israel, one is Taiwan. Household registration system also started in the Japanese period. I don't know why Japan is not listed as one of the best, but we have been called one of the best household registration system, having for data analysis and so forth. And then we have also very good occasional survey. And who are doing these surveys? A government, right? And particularly at the time when we were promoting family planning in Taiwan. So the family planning organization, Taichung, has used to have a very strong family planning organization and do these occasional surveys of thousands of people. And students can use these surveys to do their research, to do PhD thesis also. So when I talk about this, I'm a little bit skeptical of the situation now because surveys are harder and harder to carry out. Why? Suppose someone call you, how many people you have in the family. Are you going to answer the question? Not anymore. But I think up to the last 10 years, right? You can still call people and say, ask them opinions or do surveys over the phone or visit them in the family. But now it is getting harder. Anyway, some of the socio-economic organizations in charge of social economic issues are still doing surveys. Okay, this map shows if you have a topography map to compare. This is our Central Mountain Range, and the Alishan, very well known, Alishan Sanmai, and then the Rift Valley in the east, and in the east coast we call the Hai'an Sanmai, coastal ranges, and this is the Hualien. The Taidong and Hualien are located. Hualien is here, Taidong is here, Yilan is here, and look at the very limited plain area. And of course the development and population concentration would be on the west coast. I learned the geography of Taiwan when I was in high school, and I had a very deep impression when the teacher drew a cross-section, something like this, cross-section of the island. Cross-section means across here, you will see that the plain rises to mountain, to the peak, and then a sharp drop in the east. And going back to this map, it really corresponds. Population concentration in these big cities. In the south, a lot of agricultural, very good agricultural economy. In the north, industries and politically and culturally more diverse. And what are the factors of distribution? So I mentioned earlier the topography and the climate. So living in Hualien or Taidong is really a different experience from Taipei. The incidence of typhoon and probably hazards, natural hazards, are more frequent over there. And even earthquake occur more frequently in Hualien, right? I think 2 days ago there was a earthquake of 4 point something. 6 point something in Hualien and 4 point something in Taipei. You feel, how many of you have not felt an earthquake yet? Have not? Oh, well, I don't mean to give you a gift, but I think if you come to Taiwan and not having felt a earthquake or have seen a typhoon, that would be your loss. Because it frequently happens. And if you feel something shaking and, I used to have a fenglin, a wind charm on the window. And I hear the wind charm, ling, 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 ling. That's the best indicator. And it shakes, and then I feel, easy, But most of the time, we don't overreact. Most of the time, we think that's okay. But if you're visiting for the first time, you really think that, what's happening? What's next? Where should I stand, you know. So are there typhoons and earthquakes in Costa Rica, by the way?
Earthquakes, yeah.
Oh, many. Oh, and no, but you would call hurricanes.
Yeah.
Hurricanes. Ah, not as severe as this. Maybe the topography is better than here, so not many hazards here. Someone from St. Lucia here, Dianca, yes. Are there typhoons? Hurricanes? There are. Oh. Well, I can tell you one story about a French who was a PhD student who studied typhoon and come here all the way. And for the whole summer, there were not a single typhoon. I don't know how he finished his PhD thesis. He finished anyway. He has never seen a typhoon. That's why I said it's a pity if you don't see a typhoon in a whole year. Yeah. And I don't know, well, I don't think he made up that data. He went to Taimali of Taidong and lived there. And I think he is talking about people's response to typhoon. Right. And he was very disappointed, he told me. And, well, I think his thesis is with the department, a French PhD student. So our day-to-day lives are really affected by these two things. For earthquake, you can not predict. Typhoon, you can. So bye-bye to the last typhoon. Don't come back. You know, why is it not going away? It just stay there. And every time a typhoon comes, I say, go away, go away. But then the next one. In this recent time, I'm very worried about the people in the south. When you see in the television, you know, there are two women trying to get down the hill, and they have to leave the property behind, and it's such a worrying thing. And I also remember in my home we got some inundation at one time when the water comes up to almost the knee, and the piano got soaked. It's still playing, but you know, it really affects your life. And you know what you think of when you have something like that happening at home? You might want to grab what is valuable to you, right? If you only have 3 minutes. And I don't know, I went for my passport. What is the point of getting a passport when you have something water up to your knee? And I felt I was really selfish, you know. I don't know, I did not ask the rest of the family. The typhoon that really affects my family the very last time, because we have been living in Taipei for a long time. My son was visiting his mother, his grandmother. Grandmother lives on the ground floor, and his car is parked in the basement. And in the very last minute, he got his car out of the basement. Otherwise, he cannot drive out, because once you have the engine, the muffler is soaked in water, you cannot drive anymore. And then I made the suggestion. I said, move grandmother now. Don't let her stay in the ground floor, and made the right decision, because the water was up to really high in the ground floor. So she was taken to the 3rd floor, and well, nobody told me I did a great thing, but in my heart I felt that I did the right suggestion. Move her. She lives alone. She doesn't want to live with us. And I said, move her to the 3rd floor where a relative is staying. So this is my story. Yeah.
Do they have insurance policy to protect their property against the typhoon?
Oh, actually none. We only have insurance against fire. We don't have. We don't buy insurance to protect typhoon against. To protect ourselves from typhoon, because they're so frequent. No insurance company will be willing to cover the property loss, right? That's a very good question. because the compensation will be very messy. How do you prove? For example, I lost so many records. My son lost so many good records because at one time they were collecting these LPs, 胶片啊. The 胶片 that instead of the CD, you have the original, record, right? And so many of that is soaked in the water and all ruined. So how are you going to claim from the insurance company? Maybe insurance for life, that's possible.
Before, every time we go to hurricane or typhoon hurricane,
Yeah.
Before the hurricane approach the area, then they start to use camera to take pictures. After hurricane storm, and then they show the picture to the insurance company. Okay, this how it's going to look like and what is damage.
I should ask my friend in Guam. They have the most severe hurricane in 1 year for more than 1 month. No electricity, no water, and hard to get gas. Right. So I heard that they have been taking pictures. But you got to have the good camera ready, like what I'm having today, and also take the pictures in time. Well, looking at this distribution continuously, the historical and political reasons, Taipei was not the largest, the favorite city in the past. We say Yifu, well, it would be Tainan, 二路, Lugang, and then the third would be Manga, that is Taipei. The Taipei was chosen as the capital by the Japanese, and that is why its status was reinforced to the state. Taipei ranked third in terms of importance. And culturally, I would not say that Taipei is most representative of Taiwan either. So historical and political reasons, and now the political and cultural economic center of Taiwan is Taipei and the surrounding. And also policies on regional development helps, like this one. Well, I doubt if this has been working very well. We were reading this in high school textbooks, didn't we? But do you hear of this anymore? Oh, no, not anymore. It was on paper and have been discussed a lot, trying to reach balanced growth so that not all the resources concentrate in Taipei. However, you have seen more universities being built in the other parts of one of the three other regions besides Taiwan. For example, in Hualien, there is the Donghua University, there is the Tzu Hospital. You know, wherever there are good hospitals and good universities, then you see population concentration. So the government has been pursuing these policies of building these two kinds of important institutions. But at times I still hear friends who come all the way. For example, one TA of mine, every time his father comes to Taipei Hospital to get medical care, and that is his job, to meet his father in the Linkou, and where his father took a bus a long way, and would take the shuttle bus to the Changgen Yiyuan, the hospital. And how do you say 洗肾 in English? 洗肾, you know. Anyway, to have a medical treatment and visit the doctor, and then his father would take the bus back. So regional disparity is still very severe up to now in terms of medical care, right? Well, I think Kaohsiung is much better than Yunlin, Kaohsiung, and Taipei. The polarized growth in Taiwan, and recently Kaohsiung is a star because of holding the World Athletic Meet, Olympics. What do you call it? I really run out of English when I try to project the most current events in Chinese to you. In Taipei, we have the Deaf Olympics, but in Kaohsiung, we have the World Games. It is called World Games, right? Yeah. Well, regional disparity has widened. This was reported by the newspaper, but I haven't seen any research. What it says is the movement of industries overseas and rural-urban migration in rural counties result in an aging population in rural areas. And the counties with a large agricultural population has declined in income. And that happened to Kaohsiung and Yilan. And the counties with high-tech industry become richer. See? 新竹、桃园、台中、彰化、云林 and Tainan. So it shows the policy of balancing growth in the four regions has not been working well. But I have also seen reports by the government saying that they have been. So there's a debate. You have to further study this, whether the government policy in trying to balance growth, economic growth in Taiwan has been working out or not. That's what the geography student should do. Well, lastly will be the decline of fertility level. I call it Taiwan's success story. We had very successful family planning program that was alongside with the social and economic growth from 1960 to 1980. So some of our parents may talk about, your grandparents maybe talk about the poor old days. But I think your parents will be talking about the good old days. Yeah, I went through the good old days myself, and we go through very, very wealthy times, I must say. And well, in terms of population growth, socioeconomic changes have helped people to limit their family size to the norm of having 2 children per family. And the rapid decline of population growth happened with this changing value. The small family norm being accepted, not only in the urban area, not only in the industrial area, but also in the rural area as well. So Taiwan was rated top among 95 countries by World Population Watch Foundation in her success in family planning program. And actually have been awarded 2 times. There was an association called Population Crisis Committee. 2 times because of the smooth process of reducing the fertility level without going through any coercive means due to the success of family planning program and the social economic change. Yeah.
This may be a little bit our topic, but I realize I want to know when the country are poor, they make the most kids. So
Yeah.
when they get richer, they make less kids.
Yes.
Why? I think it should be opposite, right? Poor families should have less kids and rich families should have more kids. Otherwise, country will be opposite.
The rich gets richer, the poor gets children. Getting children can be still regarded a very happy event in the family, you know, with belief in tradition, bigger family. In Chinese, even to this day, 多子多尊多福. We still have the more children, the more grandchildren, and the more prosperity. That is a belief traditionally. You can't change it in a matter of 30 years, even 30 to 50 years. And also, it has been proven that the countries that produce large number of children also tend to be underdeveloped or developing, and the death rate is very high. So guarantee enough survivors in the family. They produce more children to guarantee that if you have 10 children left and 3 die, you still have 7. So that is one of the explanations. Yeah, makes sense, right? Although quite sad. And another reason is the dissemination of information. Family planning program is not well disseminated in some poor countries. Only the middle and upper class know and have the resources to refrain, to restrict the number of children, to limit the number of children. And for poor area, the maternal and child health is very bad. And so only information resources reach the middle and upper classes of these poor countries. And if the majority of the country consisting of poor people, the economy doesn't catch up. So farmhands are needed to participate in production. So I can give you about at least 3 reasons why the poor gets poorer. No, the poor gets children. The rich gets richer. Yeah, I think right now there's a polarization in wealth in Taiwan too. And one measure we use is population replacement. In Taiwan, on an average, one family doesn't produce 1 children starting in 1984, and we have a rate to measure it, calculated from several kinds of indicators and statistics, and this is called net reproduction rate. Well, I guess I need to take a break. How about if we take a break now? Okay. Yes, yeah. Right. So previously the ultrasound has been used to detect whether the baby is good or not. But now people try to detect the sex of the baby and then decide to have an abortion. So I guess that piece of news that I cut out from the paper is not exaggerating. It really reflects society value about son preference. I cannot tell you in detail what this is, but I do have an atlas. This is called Atlas of Women. It does have a page on son preference showing first, second, third child, how a number of girls per 100 women by birth order. It shows China and then South Korea, and comparing the 2 countries. And missing girls is the subtitle here, showing that in China, the countries shown are India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, Egypt, so, and Turkey, that girls are not reported. So that officially, when they're not reported, then they can try another time, and probably the chance is having a boy. But actually, every time the chance is 50-50, right? Yeah, the chance is every time 50-50. But can a mother decide? Can a parent decide on the gender of the child now, from a medical point of view? Can they?
Yeah, there's a way of. I got a censorship or something like that. 其实这已经很习惯，就是当你种的那个 sperm 在下面，再跟就是你 turn off
So National Taiwan Hospital has some doctors that can help people to have sons. Oh, there are definitely doctors helping people to have children. The problem now with Taiwan is a lot of people, well, I would say it's common, but not a lot, that people wanted to have children but cannot. 不孕症. That is called childlessness, and it is involuntary childlessness, and they have to consult a doctor. And there are several famous doctors at National Taiwan University, right? Hospital, that help people to have children. Through, again, what are the medical terms? 不孕症怎么 let's see. It's hard to switch, even for his professional interest. Anyway, well, we can see from the sex ratio of children in selected India, and also regional differences. And there's one place, one city I would love to visit in future is called Kerala in India, on the west coast, which has a low birth rate, high educational level, and low sex ratio. That is, boys are equally girls are regarded just as important as boys. In Asian countries, a lot of the countries would regard boys more important than girls, or as a whole, boy preference. Well, why do we prefer boys? Because they pass on the family name, right? Even to this day. Because they can help lift heavy things at home. Because they can participate in farm labor, right? Well, girls can also farm. Girls can also lift heavy things, right? Yeah, girls can drive car. What other things cannot girls do? Can girls not do? However, traditionally, we still think that boys are, well, yeah, let's hear.
I think the family name is a big concern. So that's why in ancient times, the Chinese emperor want to have sons instead of girls, daughters. Because if you have daughters instead of sons, your family tree will be cut because you don't have any descendants with the family name as yours.
But that was a Qin dynasty. We can't think in Qin dynasty terms. But why are we still having such strong son preference? Yeah, Winnie.
We can keep our own last name if we want, and we can keep the husband's name as a middle name. Or we don't have to take their name at all.
That's true.
It shouldn't be a factor anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, more voices.
The problem is, if you are a girl and daughter only, and the daughter's kids don't keep the family.
Okay, what about the property?
Probably legally it's the same.
Legally now the same, but it took so many years of women's movement to get to equal property right between men and women. So this is about Taiwan. Taiwan is modernizing very fast. Some of the legislature, in terms of law, property right, passing of the family name, educational right for women has improved a lot over the last 60 years. Well, I say a lot, but people probably say, oh, that's not much and not enough, right? Not enough?
So I have a question for you. Is it okay for your kid to have a last name of your baby rather than your husband?
Yeah, for me it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. I don't mind. But too bad, my children doesn't have kids. And probably, I don't know. Yeah, so some of the families, actually my daughter-in-law, her mother is pressuring her to have kids, not me. And pressuring her to have at least 2 kids. One name will be after her father. See? And one name will be after my son.
So is she the only daughter, only kid after that?
No, she is one of the 3 kids. And I said, yeah, go ahead, have a kid first, and then talk about it. Right? Well, at this time, I agree, but I don't know. Number 1, she doesn't have a kid yet. Number 2, she has to have 2 kids. And if there are 2 kids, depending on the gender, whether she has 2 sons. If there are 2 sons, and if her family, her mom, insists on following the name of the father, I probably will agree. Yeah, I think I agree. You think there's any problem? No, no problem.
I like that.
Okay. But many Taiwanese are very traditional. They probably don't like it. And I do find recently the older people are well taken care of by girls. So I would say I like the idea of having 2 girls in the family. In terms of population replacement, girls replace the population. We need to have girls. Yinjun, you have another sister. So I think the Ministry of Interior should give your mom a prize. I have one student who has 5 girls in the family. They're all grown up. The last one has a master's degree already. You know, Yulin Ma. And you can imagine the kind of pressure her mom has. They live in the rural area.
There's not a woman force, there's a husband force. The sperm decides gender, not the woman.
Is that a theory or the truth? The sperm decides the gender? But all the time, she has such pressure, and even to this day, she talked about this and she shudders, and she felt sorry for her mom who almost died at the fifth daughter. Only at that point, the grandmother say she can stop. Yeah, it's really not a laughable matter. She's only 5 years older than me, and she goes through that kind of tradition because she is from Meinong, a rather traditional society. So you know, I can tell you a lot about the cultural aspect of population. And in China, although economic growth is so fast, it's still a country that is, due to the girl preference, the number of girls per 100 boys in 1999, the red area shows the majority, 88 girls per 100 boys, and then 90 girls per 100 boys, especially in the darker areas. I like this atlas a lot, and it's not very effective to scan these pages. So the population in Taiwan, this was an estimate, we say the medium estimate, Council of Economic CEPT. Just now I couldn't say DGBAS in short. 经建会啦, Chinese 经建会, Council for Economic and something department, CEPD. These acronyms are not helping very well. So right now we have, 2014, we have about 10% of the aging population. The proportion, you can show the population by this mean or by percentages. I pick out a few countries. France, 70%. So this is has larger proportion of the aging population than China. And Singapore is 9%, Taiwan 10% in 2008. And Hong Kong, 13%. That's why I can tell you this population data sheet is quite useful for comparative purposes. And this is the population pyramid of Taiwan. And I'm going to read in Chinese. 1964年, and then 1976年, 1988年, and 2000年. So some of the Taiwan students can tell me why I'm reading out these years. 1964, 1976, 1988, and 2000. With 12 years apart.
Was the year of the dragon?
Yeah, Year of the Dragon. So, if you were born in the year of 2000, anyway, you born in the, no, you can't be 9 years old when you're here. There was one class where, my goodness, over half of the students were born in the year of the dragon. Why? Because the belief is if you're born in a certain year, you've got to be successful in future. So the parents condition themselves so that the child is born in the year of the dragon. But then it ends up in very keen competition in that year because there are so many dragon boys and girls. So this is still Taiwan and probably to some extent in China and Hong Kong. I'm sure. Even though we are modern and we are developed country and we are fastly developing, we are newly industrialized, we are one of the 4 Asian tigers. The culture still hangs over our head all the time and hangs over my head too. I'm not that modern. I'm not as modern as you think. I'm quite traditional. See, this is a projected population. I try to show you, actually I did this morning. You know, this digital camera was wonderful. I took a picture of the book this morning. I put it in the slide. And the cover, well, I can pass around this journal very quickly. look at the original. It shows up to 2101 years. Originally, our population pyramid is such that it is broad-based, like, right? If you look at the green part, this will be represented, and this one represented. And gradually, in the next round, by 2031, it will be following the blue, and then more and more, it will be like Western country. So every few years, for example, this is the green one is 2001, the blue one is 2031, and the red one in the middle is 2101. Okay, so I'm showing you the cover of this magazine. This is a good journal, actually. Oh, I have an article there. Okay. Advertising for the Population Study Center. If you want to get any statistics on gender or population, we have a Population Study Center in this university, and we publish a journal. Okay. So my questions just now is, in what years was the baby boomer born? It would be after the war, right? I would be considered a baby boomer. Where were the years of the dragon? Was I wrong? 1988. Yeah, I think that was the year of the dragon day. So if you have any friends, try to check if they are performing very, very well, because they're supposed to, owing to their parents. Yeah, you can maybe select 10 dragon children, interview them, and say, well, you know, you were born in the year of the dragon. Have you found out that you have more competition in the year with your student? You know, how do you... I think so. So find someone who is born in, is it 21 years old, right? Yeah.
88 was also boom in Europe as well.
Yes, it is. As shown by that graph, it was a booming year.
A boom in Europe as well.
Oh, really? Oh.
So maybe,
You also have your dragon? Well, the Chinese dragon is different from the English dragon. Yeah. So these are the years. Booms and booming again in year 2000.
There was a boom.
Oh. Is it called the baby bust? That is the baby boomer, the children of the baby. No, the baby boomer would have their children born in, for example, late 70s. From 1970 to 1980 would be where my children would be born. Because I was a baby boomer and my children were born, if they're married around the age of, say, 22 to 30, then my children will be born in the years of 1970 to 1980. So they are the baby bust. It is a small boom because of the parents born after the war. So parents have children, and then that would be called baby bust. Oh, too bad, assignment. Okay, you already got the piece, right? Have I distributed? Oh, yes. So this is, look up the bureau, make a table showing a comparison of 10 countries with regard to various degrees of socio-economic development. Explain why you choose such indicators. I think I would rather, well, shall we discuss about the number of indicators? Maybe limit it to 5 indicators. And 5 countries, 5 to 6. Okay, 6 is a good number. In Chinese, we say 六六大顺. So if you are so tired and say, oh my goodness, I don't know there's so much homework. I don't want to do 10. So after discussing in the recess period, we decided that we can limit to 6 countries. Okay, that would be fair enough, right? And if you hand in the homework 2 weeks from now, but everybody hand in the homework 2 weeks from now.
Do you want any evaluation of the table or just explanation why we chose it as a table?
Well, why you use the indicator? Why is it relevant, you think, to socio-economic development? And why you think it is a crude number, or why you think you can have a better indicator than this? But I don't think you can surpass the World Population Reference Bureau because it's there for already over 20 years, you know. And these are the measurable and available statistics. Because from these indicators, you cannot tell whether people are happy or not. You can tell if people are healthy or not. If you look through the indicator, but you can't tell if economic development brings happiness. Right? For me, happiness and health are most important in life. But does it mean that we are not as happy as 10 years ago when Taiwan was richer? No, I'm quite happy still. I'm poorer than 10 years ago. I'm definitely poorer. I live in a frugal life, you know, but I'm still quite happy compared to 10 years ago. But are wealthier country happier than the poorer country? Well, I don't know how to indicate. Yes, you have to shout so that everybody can hear. Oh, how many? Within 2 pages? Within 2 pages, because you will have to show a graph, but don't make a graph very big. Okay, try to make a reasonably big graph. If you want to write more, 2 to 3 pages, I think 2 pages is reasonable, minimal for a homework. 2 pages. Spacing, 1.5.
Couple spacing.
Yeah, words. 12 points. And how many words? Because I'm not very good in counting the number of words per page. Maybe let's see. Recently, I wrote this article of 1,000 words. Yeah, 2 pages. Yeah, 0.5 words. But it really doesn't. It is really not that important, as long as you don't write a 10-page homework for me to correct. Okay? Because I'm correcting everyone, not my assistant. Oh. Okay, we have some kind of intermission, and maybe Yinjing can load the second lecture. I'm going to show you some things. Okay, Hakka villages, and it's a very beautiful rice field. For someone from Singapore, they come all the way to look at rice, how it looks like in the field. Okay? Just a quick show for you. So isn't this very different from Taipei? Huh? Tobacco fields? Clipping tobacco before curing? It's a very labor-intensive job. And they use computer-controlled curing tobacco machines. Sorting out the tobacco after curing, bundling them, weighing them, grading them, and sending them abroad. Can you imagine that Taipei or Taiwan produce tobacco? Yes, we do. That is why I say Taiwan has the best kept secrets. And probably you don't read them in Lonely Planet or tourist guidebook or even the geography text. Well, I kind of like this village very much, and I like to share with you these slides in the last part of the lecture and finish up very quickly. An old building in the south, and this, you can tell the surname. If you're a Hakka, you know Qin He Tang. What is the surname? Qin Huang de. Qin Huang Seng Wang. Yeah.
香網啊！
啊，香網啊，哦，好嘢喎！I mean， 香網誒。
香網。
Yeah, I'm right, right？ 清河堂。
紫雲堂。
哦，紫雲堂是什麼？姓什麼？
黃。
哦，這不是姓王嗎？
黃。
網，香網誒。
香網。
哎，清河堂不是。
清河堂不知道。
哦，對不起 ，I said the wrong thing. See? Someone who speaks Hakka, Mr. Huang, corrected me because this doesn't show his name, the surname, 清河堂. Okay. This is another one. I will find out the surname. Please find out for me what is the surname of 清河堂. Okay. Can you find out the surname? So the traditional villages look quite different. I like this house somehow. You know, Taiwan in the old days, maybe about 30 years ago, it's common to see this house. But I took this picture about 姓张的，黄先生黄亮，姓张的，乡长呢？乡长啊。Okay. Sorry, we're speaking Hakka. Okay, a village, you know, with mountains in the back and rice fields. If you walk through the white rice field, you can smell it's fragrant, fresh rice, unharvested in the field. Go to the south, take a train, okay? Leave the classroom very soon. And look at this header. It shows someone has passed a government examination. Probably this is in the Wen Kui, this is with Qin Dynasty. Man Kui, okay? And inside the house is ancestral worship. People are very friendly there. So try to knock and say hello and say, oh, can I visit your sitting room? You're welcome. Okay, this is Taiwanese style of treating international people. And this is called a compound house. Some of the dried vegetables are sorted and dried, and sometimes it is in our cuisine. And in the old days, I think this house was taken, this picture was taken more than 20 years back. They're not all rebuilt. It doesn't look like this anymore. So these pictures are quite rare. I didn't do it with a digital camera. I scanned the picture that I took very early. A narrow lane in a Hakka village, Hakka family with a gate. So, Zhang Fenglin, does this village remind you of anywhere in India where the Hakka live?
The Hakka people in India, like the places they live in, look almost the same. Our houses are more or less, you know, trees.
Do they look like this?
Yes, they do.
Oh, really? In India? Outside of Calcutta?
No, inside Calcutta. It's a small area in Calcutta.
Oh, where the Hakka are concentrated.
Yes, the Hakka community.
Amazing. This is a gate, very spiritual for the local people. This is a gate where they guard to watch up on the second level when they have conflict with the indigenous population. At that time, we call them Aboriginal. So people come from here can see the Aboriginal from a long distance. This is an incinerator because the Hakka people value writing and learn education a lot. Whatever is written on the sheet of paper cannot be thrown away as garbage. So they have a 禁字亭, a word arbor. Paper written and printed with words can be incinerated. And notice this is in the middle of the road. And the village have preserved that incinerator in spite of the thoroughfare. Okay? Oh, another one. These are cute little buildings and they're preserved in the south. And I think this is a stereotype. I think to a large extent it's true. Hakkas are known to be very industrious and frugal. And the Hakka women sewing traditional attire. I was there visiting the shop again, and this man is now 100 years old. Yeah, 100 exactly. His son celebrated birthday with him. Oh, this was me. Long time ago. I borrowed one of the dress But at the end, I bought a dress because I think I should pay back. So I borrowed the dress for a picture with him when he was 92 years old. So this was me 8 years ago. Okay? I don't mean to be in the picture. This was taken in 1988 when I took my student to a field trip. And this village is known for making paper umbrella. And at that time, the paper umbrella are not so glamorous. And now they're hand-painted, and a lot of the paper umbrellas are imported from China. This shows women washing clothes by the creek, and they still do it. So if you are a daughter-in-law in a Hakka family, you probably would know how to wash clothes by the creek, because your mother-in-law would say, don't wash it with a machine, it's not clean enough. Anyway, when they wash clothes, they usually face the houses because it is to protect themselves. If you are washing clothes facing the creek, if someone goes behind you, you won't notice. Also, it is a way to take care of children who are playing on this part of the road, maybe beside the house. Well, I must acknowledge some of these pictures are taken by a Mainong community people. And I did not take these pictures. Some of them are so beautiful. So the Mainong Association, whom I worked with very closely, was kind enough to loan me these pictures they've taken. And these water are very clean by the creek. These little girls learn at very early age to fetch water and to fetch water from the creek when they were very young. The water bridge across the canal is a very important scene in Hakka village. And the People's Association, at one time, there was a design to build a reservoir. And although I wasn't an insider, I was an outsider, and I'm not a Hakka, I joined them in the movement against the dam. So the People's Association have banners here, and I wrote articles, I do research, I support them in various ways. And I'm only 1 to 100th of the power, but I think it helps them to be in good spirit at times when they were fighting very hard. And the decision to build a dam was removed in year 2000. Right. I hope it will never come back, because I believe that building a dam, the water will inundate the village, the culture will be gone. The people will have to move, right? So that was the way I believe the culture has to be preserved. In the Hakka culture should be in place and preserved the best they can, the best we can, and anything that do against this preservation should be eliminated or prevented. This is called a bakgong. This is for the bakgong, right?
Yeah,
bakgong. Okay, earth god. And the entrance of the Butterfly Valley. It's a beautiful valley that collects a large variety. And here is a speaker, a local person who volunteered to direct our student to explain the history. Okay, and a singer become very famous, Lin Shengxiang. He held a festival here, and this is held in the village. So that was the No Dam banner, and 为子孙来拼命. That means they will fight to the end to preserve the village. And another beautiful scene that I only get in magazines nowadays is the Yanlo, the tobacco curing compartment of a big compound house. Okay, so you can still see a few, but not many now, because tobacco is no longer produced as a product. And some of them remodel the house and turn them into a 教育馆, educational office. Okay, the end is just some pictures. Well, the end are very good pictures of Hakka village in the eyes of a painter. To just finish the slide, women working in the field, and women and children working near a well, Hakka mother telling stories of the children. And these were scenes of Taiwan in the south about 30 years ago, but not anymore, I guess. So there are some home pages that I use, websites. Well, that's all for today, and